Hello and welcome back, everyone. It's been a very long time, but we're back. If you don't recall what happened in the last one, I recommend just watching the rest of Jean's conversation. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to pick up what happened in the caves through that conversation alone. So, in this one, we're going to continue to the Agrodomes and meet up with Leslie. However, due to an error with the recording, we'll be starting at the Agrodomes instead of waking up and meeting with Sam and talking about the mission. The text isn't too important, so we'll just dive right into it. According to her records, Miss Bartois stated that the research dome was one of her favorite places. It was also one of the colony's most important facilities. The research here allowed major advances in food processing efficiencies. Hopefully you can find some research that might help us extend your food supply for the journey back to Earth. Alright, so here we are. Same place, a different area. The decontamination chamber seems to be working. That's a good sign. It should be finished momentarily. That was fast. And the last one, I don't think it was working very well. Nice to see that it somehow fixed itself. Now there is a rare site here on Epsilon Eridani B. This outer dome was used for testing research species. It was originally a much more structured lab-like environment, but over the years, Miss Bartois transformed it into this garden. If I recall correctly, she and I debated the merits of such an environment. She stated that having the garden wasn't just about science, it was about something more human. I regret that I did not fully understand at the time. That's okay. It takes a little while to understand. Especially with something like a garden, it's probably very homey since she loves agriculture. I'm reading a high concentration of foreign air particles from the lab on the west side of that research dome. I think you should check that out first. Well, I don't think we really have a choice. It's a portable analyzer of some kind. I'm not sure what its use would be right now, so please keep looking around. Alright, someone came online. It's a blizzard. How neat. Alright. I'm already seeing a lot here. These notes contain specifics on Miss Hainsworth's research. They indicate she was combining trace amounts of the toxin with other elements. According to this, she was trying to run more experiments at once than Miss Bartois approved to in attempt to save them. Tests progressing faster than expected, she wrote. Miss Hainsworth focused on virophyte plants to isolate those first. Do you know what a virophyte is? I do now. Of course you do. Then you know we're speaking of mosses, essentially. The team must have been trying to isolate which plants were most susceptible to carrying the toxin, to understand how it traveled. Miss Hainsworth was focused on virophytes specifically, mosses, but her research is incomplete. If we can get a couple of samples, perhaps we can finish it. Look around the dome, see if you can find some equipment that looks like a bulky laptop, a portable analyzer. I have an idea. Well, we ran into one before we came into this room. So in the meantime, let's see what's going on over here. That tube is breached, and the plant inside is mutated somewhat. Toxins from the tube environment must have escaped into this room. Yeah, that sounds about right. My scan indicates this is the corpse of Chief Genetics Researcher Ashley Hainsworth. The skeletal remains are consistent with the osteoporosis she suffered. It appears Miss Hainsworth used exobraces to regain some mobility, as her legs were severely affected. The braces remain on the skeleton. Miss Hainsworth was manually writing notes on her research here. They read, I finally confronted Bartois about her inability to lead with direction. We had a pretty heated argument, I'll be honest. I didn't think the chief had it in her. She clung to the hopeless belief that the team would see things through. I thought she would never give up, but after a while, she came back and told me she thought I might be right. To think of it, After all this time. But she made me agree not to tell the rest of the team of her acquiescence, to not disrupt her precious ecosystem. So I've got them using the portable analyzer to test our newly grown samples. The notes end there, but she's confirmed that what I thought. Perhaps you should look for the portable analyzer she mentions. Ah, yikes. Alright, what's over here? The tubes are filled with various plants and chemical test environments. It was faster to do multiple tests at once to improve production. Yeah, I can understand that. There are two sides to doing that, though. That terminal still has some local data that didn't get properly synced with the colony network. It looks like Miss Hainsworth and Mr. Jager continued their private conversation regarding Miss Bardwage's leadership capabilities. So I had it out with her. With Bardwage. You did? What happened? We had quite a row. Was surprised, actually. But in the end, she agreed with me. I don't know if she wanted to, you know? That irritating sense of duty she has. Holy, I can't believe you did it. So that's it then. We're going to proceed with your research plan? Looks like. We'll show her Arlo. No more pussyfooting around. We'll get this done. Fast. Better than with her restrictive rules. I just hope we're making the right decision here. Things have been so crazy lately. I hope we can come back from this. Yikes. Very hostile indeed. That is quite interesting though. Alright, here's the analyzer. There you go. That analyzer already has data on it from Miss Hainsworth's experiments, but we can use it to continue her work. If you can figure out how the toxin works more specifically, maybe I can protect your food supply for the journey home. Take the analyzer out to the garden. Hopefully we can find a way to hook it up and find some specimens. Alright. I'm not sure how big that portable analyzer is. It looks like a mini laptop. Alright. So oh, that's right, we have to hook it up. If you didn't pay attention there, you might miss this, and you might be wandering around going, ah, what do I do next? So here we are. We'll set it here. Okay, the analyzer is connected and online. What we need to do is find samples from Miss Hainsworth's field of research. So let's start by finding some samples of bryophytes. Remember, plants without vascular systems. Mosses for the most part. There must be samples in the garden. Find and scan 3 of them. That should give us enough data for the analyzer. Alright, well this is a very easy mission. Not too long. The sample is small, but there is Alucomium plastro here. This ribbed bog moss will suit our bryophyte test. Ah yes, a lot of big words here. Don't be intimidated, don't be scared, they're just words. You scanned some Spavin central, otherwise known as common peat moss. Good work! This is a bryophyte we can use to test. I don't even think I'm saying them correctly. One of the challenges of reading text in a game, or anywhere really. You found a healthy patch of Polytrichum juniperianum, juniper moss. This is indeed a bryophyte we can use to test. Well, that makes 3 samples. Use the portable analyzer to process them. So, that's basically what this mission is about. I'm gonna scan everything in this room, analyze it, and that's that. Good, I've got the data up from these bryophyte plants now. I'll be able to run simulations and tests back here. I think we're on to something. Head to the north lab inside the dome and see what was being worked on there. Alright, Sam, you got it. Let's go. Again, I apologize for the error. I'm not sure what happened. But, you know, things happen. And since this is on Steam and playing on a laptop, the saving in here is actually not great. Is there anything over here? Nope. I see a lab coat. That ruined lab coat contains trace elements of dust and debris from the surrounding wreckage. I can also see some DNA around one of the cups. The coat belonged to geneticist Dale Zarowski. There are small food wrappers in the pocket, as well as a small, worn, folded-up photograph. The photo depicts the dome staff looking tired after what was probably a long day. In it are Leslie Bartois, Ashley Hainsworth, Florent Markin, Mr. Zarowski, and Matzo Bradley. In the photo, Mr. Zarowski appears to be looking at Miss Bradley, one of the other geneticists on the team. Why do you think he's doing this? Well, for one reason, he probably liked her. Well now, do you really think so? So this photo might have captured what was intended to be a private moment of longing. Very interesting. Well, it's bound to happen. Anything else in here? These notes were by Dale Zarowski, one of the other geneticists. It appears he was working under Miss Hainsworth's direction. Petrotite stains 1 through 4. No conclusive results, it says. There's a chart that indicates more tests were intended. So Mr. Zarowski was focused on pterophyte plants from the domes. You remember what a pterophyte is? You bet. Then you'll know that all pterophytes reproduce via spores, unlike bryophytes have vascular systems. Good examples are ferns and what are sometimes called horsetails, important elements to Earth-like ecosystems. We need to complete Mr. Zarowski's research so we can be sure our food systems are safe. Let's deal with these petrophyte plants. The analyzer is already hooked up, so let's return to the garden and find some specimens. All these words, I apologize if I'm not saying them correctly. At terminals, the local storage has been severely damaged, but it can still read external media, such as data cards. Any more private conversations? Any more spicy drama? No? Anything else in here? Nope, I don't think so. I also find it kinda sad that those were his remains. There's nothing left of him. At least as far as what we can see. Alright, gotta find 3 ferns. Since the analyzer is all set up, let's get to work. Find 3 samples of tetrophytes and use the analyzer when you're done. Tetrophytes or whatever. My goodness. You find a healthy patch of Asplenium scalendrium, a chrysista fern. This is indeed a tetrophyte we can use to test. Oh, everyone, please forgive me. Reading these fern names, I'm probably just gonna abbreviate. You've scanned some Equisen arvens, otherwise known as field horsetail. Good work. This is a petrophyte used to test. Yep, I can't say them. At least not right now. Reading faster than I can speak. Alrighty. Good choice. This is tree fern. Or, CC. We'll make a good specimen. This scan will help us in our tests. That's 3. That should be good enough. Use the portable analyzer to process the samples. Such an easy mission. Very laid back. This is my favorite area. I processed and received the data from the ferns you scanned. Hopefully this will help our food supply issues. There's only one area left. Head to the east lab and let's complete our mission. Fantastic, let's do it. Even though these are covered in toxins and everything, it's green. Very green and luscious. And very alive. The most alive thing in this colony. What's over here? More research notes? These are extensive notes, quite neatly organized, on another type of plant. These appear to be by Miss Matsuko Bradley, another geneticist at the Dome. Like with the previous research, there is no real recorded success. Miss Bradley wrote, despite large angiosperm sample population have not yet isolated toxin. Miss Bradley was tasked with testing angiosperm species of plants. Are you familiar with those? I think so. Well, just to be sure, it's a flowering plant. It has a vascular system and can produce flowers as a means of reproduction. If she was looking at angiosperms, there are likely samples such as trees, crops, and deciduous plants in the garden. Let's try the portable analyzer one more time. We can configure it for angiosperms and find some specimens to scan. And maybe a dictionary. A datapad. Oh, that's a standard 2D data card. That makes sense. Often, researchers made manual backups as well as allowing me to store things on the network. There have been so many disruptions since this all started. So much useful data has been rendered useless or inaccessible, especially since I lost contact with Colony B. If you can find a terminal that still has a functioning card port, you might be able to read it. Let's do it. Can't scan these, so that's surprising. Well, before we look at those, plants, let's go to the other terminals and see if we can read what's on this data card. Do you have a port? Reading the data card now. It's a bit slow since the terminal is in such poor repair. Well, I think it's fascinating that you can still read it in the first place. Success! The data card contains several research document backups that don't seem to pertain to the task at hand. However, there is a personal file here called MattBradPlug024. It reads, "Research could be going better. Everyone's under the gun. Ashley's pushing harder each day. We know the stakes, but she still flexes her muscles. I get the sense she has more than just survival rating on this new line of experiments. She has pride, and a need to prove she was right. I don't really know to whom. Dale has been getting a little close lately. Sometimes I feel at ease when we do relax together, but then suddenly I'll feel as if I'm the experiment. He's sweet, but a little intense. He's an excellent geneticist, though, and we need him, now more than ever." That's the end of the file. Oh, I see. Interesting. I wonder if we'll learn more about that relationship. Here we go. Let's find 3 samples of angiosperms and use the analyzer when you're done. Alright, let's do it. I feel so ashamed for being unable to enunciate all those words at a fast pace. Right you are. These fading stalks of maize are a bit old, but they should prove the angiosperm we can use to test. I should be ashamed. It's gonna be on my mind. But it's okay. It's a new day. Tomorrow's a new day. Of course, what better angiosperm than a tree with apples? This scan will help us in our tests. They honestly look like cherries. Look like small cherry bombs. Alright, over here, lastly. It looks like Miss Bargeois was testing a few varieties. Thankfully, some beans have survived. This is indeed an angiosperm we can use to test. Okay, that should be enough angiosperm samples. Use the portable analyzer to process them. But of course, with a sci-fi game requires a lot of technical terms. Definitely not my area of expertise. Excellent! I've got the data from the angiosperms, and that's the last piece of data we needed. I can run a full suite of tests here now. I hope we have better success than the Agrodrome's crew did. It might take me a few days to complete my simulations, but it's something. It's unfortunate that this facility was so greatly compromised. I only hope we can make use of the work that went on here. Though I imagine that garden must be a welcome change from the corridors of the colony. We must continue our work if we are to escape. So, when you're ready, please head back to the shuttle and come back home. You know, I find it interesting how we were able to run all these experiments and do all this stuff in one day that the whole crew wasn't able to do. I mean, they had their reasons, but I don't even know how long we were in there for. Maybe like 15-20 minutes? Just a thought. Food for thought. You know, this cutscene has really started to grow on me. It's a little relaxing. Maybe it's because of the storm. Storms definitely put me to sleep. They help. And in the summer, there are no storms typically. It's a bit hard to sleep. My goodness, that was quite a day. Well, you better get up here. Well, if this was a hard day. then the other days must have meant very little to you. Those other days were a lot more intricate and complicated than this one was. We got drama and talked about food. And today was a success. But the scan data will be extremely valuable. Also, Cerulean, have you ever been to the mountains back on Earth? Yes, I have. Oh good, then you no doubt can appreciate the majesty and beauty. That is very good to hear. In any case, I'm going to power down now and get working on today's data. I'll speak to you again later tonight. Oh, that's right. I can't imagine like the little sleep you must be getting. And just the burden and stress of trying to escape this dying planet. This planet that's trying to kill us. I wonder if this is how Link feels. Always so stoic. Just, you know, hearing all the horrible things and having to fix everyone's problems. Saving the world. It's time, Cerulean. The Holostone chamber is ready for you now. Just head in when you're ready. Have a good evening. Now when she says have a good evening, she doesn't make it sound that late. I think at first they made it sound like I have to be woken up at midnight. So I wonder how long the days actually go by. That seemed like a really short day. Maybe like, you know, from morning to 3 p.m., 5 hours or more. Not 5 hours. Alright, let's go see Leslie. Hello again, Cerulean. I'm just over here trying out a few new strains of vegetables. What happened with you today? A whole lot. I hope that's good news. The AI said you went to the research dome today. Maybe you found something that will get this work back on track. You know, that dome was my pride and joy, and my favorite place in the whole colony. I probably spent more time there than I should have, but I loved it so much. When those vines began to develop and ruin everything, the Agrodome labs were thoroughly corrupted. It took a while longer before the research dome became affected. Without access to the main grow dome and its equipment, we were forced to use what we had on hand. The vines hadn't reached the garden yet, so we had a bit more time. But you saw it for yourself. I'm curious, did you find anything that might help with our mission? Plant root search? Ah, I see. I can see the data you scanned now, so that's what we're up to in there. The biggest issue I remember was how difficult it was to get results fast enough. That was the main point of the contention between Ashley and me. I was adamant that we needed proper protocols since we were essentially getting one last good chance to do something. She thought that speed was more important. You see, by that time we went to the research dome, our connection to the AI was tennis. The atmospheric interference, the lack of power. We could only check in occasionally. Did you find anything else in the garden that might help us? Well, drama. Oh no. I'm so sorry to hear that. Despite our differences, I wished Ashley... No, I never wished Ashley any harm. As I mentioned last time, Ashley and I had our disagreements, but she was a damn good scientist, at least before we all got desperate. And while Ashley was a valuable member of the team, she was also very ambitious. I don't think I was very good at managing her, or her ambitions. You seem to be dealing with the pressure of this whole situation well. How do you do it? I honestly don't know. I mean, I just kinda do it. Perhaps it's best not to overthink it. I think that's what made things worse for some of us. We had that shadow looming over us, and it got under our skin. Did you find anything else? This team photo. Oh my. That is interesting. I remember this photo, but now that I see it again, the way Dale was looking at Matsuko. Dale was such an excellent researcher. I think Hudson Cartier loved him for the position. He was so studious, so dedicated. They probably considered him pretty low maintenance. And, to be perfectly frank, I never even considered he could express such an interest, let alone in a coworker. He just never let on. He was strictly about his work. But Matsuko was beautiful and very smart. I guess she was the one that got through to him, woke him up, so to speak. I can't say I blame him for his affection. Yo, that's pretty funny. Oh, come now, don't tell me you're jealous. I mean, anyone could see that Matsuko is very fetching, although Dale probably admired her mind even more. He was like that. The one thing about our team that I always noticed was that we were all so very different. Different kinds of families, very different personalities. We were like a garden, in a way, our own little ecosystem. I don't know, maybe I was the problem. I could never create that balance that we needed to succeed. I think you're wrong. You really think so? That's awfully sweet of you. It just feels like I was the one who didn't make it all work, But listen, I actually have been meaning to ask you something. When you finally escape and get back home, what are you going to do? Maybe go up again. Wow, really? After all this, you'd have the courage to join another colony effort? You really are something else. I think Hudson Cartier has rules about what happens to crews when they return. Psych evals, debriefing, that sort of thing. And who knows what's changed since we've been gone. Public opinion, government regulation, all of it could affect colonization attempts, among other things. With our situation as it is, I wonder how much data they even have on what's happened. Perhaps almost nothing. After 16 years, wow. It'll be like you're returning from the dead. I'm sure so much will be different. Well, in the meantime, if you end up at the Agrodomes again, can you do me a little favor, since I won't be able to go myself? Can you let me know if you find out what happened to Matsuko and Dale? Now you've got me thinking about them. Of course. Oh, thank you, Cerulean. That would mean so much to me. I know it's a lot to ask, but, well, thank you. I think it's probably time for you to get some rest, and for me to take some of this new information and get back to work on supplying your ship. It's nice to know that this simulated garden isn't the only bright point I have. Your visits, they're really what keep me going. Until next time, Cerulean, please stay safe out there. Of course. One of the things that I found interesting with some of the playthroughs that I've seen of this game, once you choose a route, a romance route, you kind of don't bother with everyone else. You're not very nice to them. It doesn't really affect much, I don't think. I'm way too weak to actually be mean to them, but if I'm going to escape and they're helping me and they're in good spirits after all my visits, I want to make sure that everyone is happy and doing the best that they can and having that extra motivation. But here we are. I apologize again for the mishap, the flavor text. It was probably, I think, maybe 10-15 seconds, and then also with the enunciation issues. Hopefully in the next one we'll set ourselves straight. But in the meantime, thank you for watching and see you later.